Koala Man is a new animated series from Michael Cusack and executive produced by Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty. The show just dropped on Hulu on January 9th, and it is more Australian than you could ever imagine. Before we go down under to discuss the Great Emu War 2 and how disgusting eating prawns in bed is, please make sure to like this video and subscribe if you enjoy animated shows and movies just like myself. Also, let me put a big spoiler warning up for those who have not seen Koala Man yet. Go watch it and then come back to this review. Alright, back to the Koala talk. Koala Man is about a middle-aged IT worker named Kevin who moonlights as a half-cheeked superhero. I would have used a different word there if I wasn't trying to monetize this channel, but times are tough for us YouTube creators. Koala Man is a ridiculously law-abiding vigilante who would feel inclined to break your back if you forgot to pay a parking ticket. It's kinda like those Batman memes from earlier last year. Dang it, I can't even mock the Nirvana parody without YouTube getting up my— The voice cast is great, featuring show creator Michael Cusack as the voice of Koala Man and various other side characters, including some of my favorites, Damo and Darren. He also voices Nicole Kidman, who is the Queen of Australia in this alternate reality. This one especially makes me laugh because they probably could have gotten Nicole Kidman to voice herself, just like how Alexandria Daddario and Hugh Jackman both are featured voices in this series. But no, they just let Michael do it instead. I don't know, I think that's a hilarious choice and it really makes that episode stand out. The cast also features Sarah Snook as Koala Man's wife, Vicky. Vicky works at the school, which results in some hilarious fizzy pop hijinks in episode 2. Demi Lardner voices Allison Williams. No, not the crazy chick from Get Out, I'm talking about Koala Man's daughter. She actually is a little crazy in the show though, as she seeks to become the most popular girl in school, killing people in the process. Jermaine Clement, Justin Roiland, Hugo Weaving, and Angus Sampson all have voices on this show that are legendary as well. I went into Koala Man with some higher expectations. Michael Cusack's Rick and Morty parody Bushworld Adventures and his character on Smiling Friends had me in tears laughing at certain points. There was a part of me that wasn't really excited about the concept, it just feels like something that's been done before. With the abundance of superhero properties that are either big budget movies or parodies of said movies, it just doesn't conceptually grab me in the trailer. The show, however, does stand on its own as a parody, much like The Boys over on Amazon Prime. But instead of making fun of the monopoly that is the Disney Corporation, Koala Man has other things to say. The first 2 episodes were funny, but set up for the amazing episodes to come. The first episode, Bin Day, for instance, really just sets up what Koala Man is all about as a character. Kevin wants to be the small town of Dapto's superhero, but there isn't much trouble being stirred up. Despite Kevin's good intentions, nobody likes him and considers him a nuisance. After supposedly forgetting to take out the bins or the trash, if you're an American like me, Kevin sends the town into shambles. Everyone forgets about Bin Day, and now Kevin and his family must take care of the trash himself. Luckily, he has his friend Spider there to drive it to this pit in the middle of nowhere. To sum up this episode real quick, he has to fight a tall poppy that has eaten trash every day since it was taken to Dapto all the way back in the 19th century. It's a funny episode, just like episode 2 Deep Pockets, but it's nothing I haven't seen Solar Opposites or other animated shows touch on already. The Red Hot Rule sends this show into new territory by establishing itself in an alternate reality called Bushworld. Maxwell, an otherwise not so notable old man side character, is shown in flashbacks as a boy breaking the titular Red Hot Rule. In this alternate universe, Australia is 5 minutes ahead of everyone else in the world due to time zones. Therefore, Australia gets news earlier than everyone else, giving them the ability to mess with space-time. This is of course forbidden in our alternate Australia, and those that break that rule get into some serious trouble with time cops. It's almost like I've seen this done before in another Justin Roiland property. The Titanic never sank because Maxwell broke the time-bound rule and prevented the ship from sinking. This change resulted in America electing a mummy as their president, who would leave for the moon with her lover, turning America into a lawless wasteland, except for Hollywood, of course, which broke off and became a civil island. Did you get all of that? I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to rewind the video right now, that was a lot. Since the show takes place in Australia, this doesn't really affect our characters too much until Chad Wagon shows up. Out of all of the amazing guest voices, Justin Roiland as Chad Wagon is just hilarious. That name is ridiculous, I just can't stop saying it that way. He resembles your standard American action hero, even driving a fast supercar like he's Jason Statham. Not only does Roiland and Cusack make this a standout episode by voicing hilarious side characters, but this one is simply written very well. Chad having a negative influence over Liam and even self-describing himself as Dad Wagon at at one point had me absolutely rolling. With that juvenile humor, though, it also presents a shockingly political undertone about how the US unfortunately likes to Americanize everything. It's delightful commentary that never comes off as mean-spirited, just simply saying it how it is. This was the episode that won me over, and thankfully all of the other episodes to follow it were just as phenomenal. In episode 4, The Great One, the town of Dapto gets trapped in a giant dildo that an interdimensional tentacle creature until it finds out Earth has kids. Ugh. If that plot description doesn't get you on board with Koala Man, nothing else can. The Handies is another good episode where Dapto's promising handball team is suddenly incinerated. Big Greg, who is voiced by Hugh Jackman, is humiliated by his older brother Huge Greg, who coaches the Sydney team, and Kevin steps in to recruit the replacement Dapto team. This ends up being his kids, Allison and Liam. These episodes are incredibly funny, but sandwiched in between them is maybe my favorite episode of the series thus far, Ode to a Koala Bear. In flashbacks throughout episode 5, Kevin rescues a koala and names her Mindy. As a way to feed her properly, Vicky makes a koala mask for Kevin to appeal to her. Having had a toughened upbringing due to his abusive detective father, who was framed for a crime, Kevin opts to let Mindy back into the wild, only for her to get hit by a car immediately. A little bit of dark humor never hurts. In the present, Liam and Allison are sent to music camp. Vicky is about to have a serious talk with Kevin regarding his alter ego, but he notices that Liam left his jacket and drives off to deliver it to him. He then gets carjacked and mugged by a gang of kangaroos. I told you this show was super Australian, y'all didn't listen. He finds the studio of the Tinglies, totally just a parody of the Wiggles, who are revealed to feed off of the youth they entertain like vampires. Kevin is rescued by Spider, and they chase them to the music camp where the Tinglies kidnap Liam and the talented little Nina. Little Nina is hilariously and spontaneously killed, but Kevin and Spider manage to kill the rest of the Tinglies. This episode was a hilarious parody of the Wiggles, of course, but it also made me love Kevin. Throughout the first season, Kevin Williams can be really annoying to the townsfolk of Dapto, but by episode 5, I was even starting to get annoyed by some of his traits. This episode completely changed my perspective on the character, though, showing you all of the reasons why Kevin is the way he is. I almost feel bad for the guy in a way. Now, Emu War 2 is possibly the funniest episode of the entire show, harping on a real war the country of Australia waged on its emu population to slow their breeding cycle. This is something that really happened, and the series even asks you to go to Wikipedia if you don't believe them. Very meta, Koala Man. I dig it. It's almost like you have an executive producer from another meta animated show. The guest voices on this episode are also superb, featuring the highly underrated Angus Sampson as General Peckmeister. Angus is in many great things, but he will always be Tucker from Insidious first in my mind. Best of all, Hugo Weaving voices the king of the emus, King Emudius. I love Hugo Weaving if he's playing King Elron, Agent Smith, or being Samara Weaving's uncle. She's not his daughter, a common misconception. At the end of the season's penultimate episode, Kevin is suddenly kidnapped by the Kookaburra, Koala Man's supposed arch nemesis that has been teased in many episodes prior. He takes him to Toothbrush Island and reveals that he was behind all of the recent misfortune, including the death of Mindy, to kick out Kevin and become Dapto's new hero. 1 month later, Kevin has been tied to a tree this entire time while the Kookaburra takes over Dapto. This is of course just the last episode for us, but a month has passed for our characters, just to clarify. Kevin is still stuck on Toothbrush Island, Vicky is tending to an unconscious Liam, Allison is now dating the most popular girl in school, Rosie, and plans to run away to Hollywood Island with her, and of course, the Kookaburra has become Dapto's new superhero. So obviously I left out a lot of story there, but I wanted to focus on the highlights of this show. Otherwise, this video would be 4 hours long and no one would watch it. A bushfire suddenly starts, and the Kookaburra loses support due to his incompetence as a superhero. One Daptonian even says he's worse than Koala Man. As Koala Man finally escapes Toothbrush Island and confronts the Kookaburra, he is revealed to be Principal Baswell, who kidnaps Vicky and Liam. Kevin has a vision of Mindy where they kind of set up this whole thing that every universe needs a koala person or koala thing at some point. I'm sure that's going to come back later, and it is very funny. And he returns as Koala Man to rescue his family, discovering that Baswell is his childhood friend Christopher, who has plotted his revenge following a childhood urination incident. Kevin made the guy pee his pants in grade school for not having a hall pass, the perfect villain arc. Using the green animal ooze from a previous episode, he transforms himself into an actual Kookaburra. But Kevin talks down the half-bird, half-man and uses his held-in urine to put out the fires of the town. He was so afraid to pee for 30+ years and had it all stored in the world's largest bladder, apparently. The Kookaburra, now reformed, leaves town to become the hero to Albion Park, and Koala Man is finally lauded by Dapto as a real hero. They leave us with a promise for more Koala Man in the future, and after a Marvel-inspired after the credits scene teases a possible new villain for Season 2, the Uncommon Wealth. whatever the heck that is. Koala Man only works for me because they explain a lot of Kevin's annoying traits throughout the runtime of season 1. There are some animated shows, or heck, just shows in general, that force you to root for unredeemable characters. Unfortunately, not every show can be It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia though, and most times need to give a good reason to support these unlikable protagonists. In this case, Kevin Williams is a character that would otherwise get under my skin because he's such a strict rule follower, or a narc as I like to say. Kevin is only redeemed in my mind due to his past that has given him a bad disposition towards justice. I see this being something that could be worn down as the show continues, and that has me eager to watch season 2 at some point soon. I guess I'm so hyper-focused on that angle to the show because I wasn't expecting it. I knew after watching Smiling Friends, Bushworld Adventures, and YOLO Crystal Fantasy that this show would deliver on the comedy, and it totally does, but more importantly, it has an emotional story at its core. Even Allison, who was mostly the focus of the B-plot throughout season 1, had a very well-written arc all about popularity and the sacrifices one must make to obtain it. Liam had mind powers that came in handy a few times due to an electric shock in a previous episode, and Vicky has a few standout moments being a pageant mom. No character exists just for laughs. Every character influences the plot or has a nice emotional moment that deepens and transcends them. Even Damo and Darren have a really nice moment inside the giant space dildo expressing their love for each other. I can't believe I just said that. Koala Man is a killer new show, and I'm fully on board the Michael Cusack train. Please give us more Koala Man, Hulu. Don't be like Netflix and cancel all your best animated shows. What did you think of Koala Man? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, Space Cowboy.